have Coach Beamer speak here and make an opening statement, and we'll take some questions. And just a reminder to keep your phone on or your computer on mute if you're not speaking. Thanks.
Yep. All right. Obviously, a really disappointing day yesterday. I knew that obviously after the game, but then going back and watching the tape this morning, even more disappointing. Again, credit to LSU. They fought and did a fantastic job, but just disappointed in a lot of missed opportunities and self-inflicted things that we had in that game as well. Certainly need to be better, and got a lot of players that are hurting today and eager to get back out on the practice field with them here in about 20 minutes and get right back to work to continue to get better. A lot of text messages and phone calls last night with players on the team, and everyone is invested and together and ready to get better. Not a lot of sleep for me last night, just going back through that game and don't know if I can I know I can't remember a game where you have two defensive touchdowns called back for penalties, a block punt, and not finding a way to win the game. But it is what it is. A lot of really, really good from yesterday as well. A lot that we can build up on. And I think we've shown that we have a really good football team that's going to continue to get better throughout the season and, can go toe-to-toe with anybody in this league. And we just have to play and coach a little cleaner and smarter than what we did yesterday. We don't give out players of the game after a loss, but we do recognize the players that played well. And offensively, we recognized Jared Brown, our wide receiver. Shame he got hurt, but he was really doing some good things for us. Rocket Sanders at running back in the game that he had, running for over 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, close to 8 yards a carry. And then our offensive line, when you line up against an SEC defense and run the ball for 243 yards like we did, you give yourself an opportunity to win the game, and gave up too many sacks yesterday, but that really wasn't on the offensive line. Again, we got to get rid of the football, and a couple of those, again, we should have been protected. Defensively, O'Donnell Fortune and DQ Smith in the secondary. Thought those guys flew around and really made some competitive plays. And then Boogie Huntley on the defensive line. Special teams was Maurice Brown and King Ford, as well as Colin Bryant. So I thought those guys really stood out and played well for us, gave us an opportunity to win. So questions?
Hey, Shane, it's Dave. Obviously, a big story of the game yesterday was some of the controversial calls. How do you talk to the team about that? I mean, do you mention it at all? Are you worried about maybe a negative effect if you do mention? I'm just wondering about the psychology of that when that happens.
No, it's something that I think about. I told the team in the locker room yesterday, David, when we were running off the field, I heard some fans, yelling, being supportive. But I heard a lot of fans yelling, hey, you guys won that game. That game was stolen from you. And I made sure to tell the players that, we're not going to seek comfort by telling ourselves that I understand what they're saying. But at the end of the day, we didn't do enough well to win the game. Having said that, when you watch the tape with the players today, they're not blind. They can see some of the calls that went against us yesterday or some of the calls that we didn't get. So they're not naive, or not, that's probably not the word. They're not blind. They understand that. But the thing that I've talked to them about is that a lot of the things where we got to be better, the officials did not cause us to jump off sides twice. The officials did not cause us to lose leverage on a zero blitz and give up a completion. The officials didn't cause us to miss some tackles. The officials didn't cause us offensively to have a false start for not being set before the snap. And and the officials didn't cause us to fumble whatever it was, I think 4 times yesterday. So we need to look at ourselves. We're not going to seek comfort by looking at the officials, but so that's how we've handled it as well. And again, I got to coach better. I've got to continue to put these guys in position to make plays. There's no doubt about it. And then privately, as soon as I left the press conference with you guys, I immediately called the SEC head of officials yesterday at the stadium right after I did the radio with Todd after the press conference. And I know Coach Tanner's had some conversations today with the league office as well, but we're not going to sit around and complain about that. It's moving on the next week, but certainly want to get some clarification on some things from yesterday for sure.
Shane, sorry to stick on that subject, but obviously you submit questions over calls each week, but what's sort of that process like? How do you go about doing that? And if you don't mind sharing, what were some of the main ones that are on your list to submit or that you've already submitted for
the process is, and we don't typically submit a lot. Hale, I know the SEC. I believe that John McDade, who's the head of officials, he does a great job, and I believe that he's watching his guys watches every game, and he's already grading them. So I don't typically send in a lot of plays. A lot of the plays I send in are plays that I either have a question about, like what did you see, or explain this rule to me better. So I don't think we've sent in any over the last 2 weeks. We have sent in quite a few today, and that process is me just going through the tape and trying and essentially just writing it down and the play number and what my question is or comment is, and then giving it to George Wynn, our director of football operations, and he submits it. So I think you guys have watched the tape, and I'm sure there's a lot of calls that LSU probably sent in too. They were unhappy about, so there's some interesting things. I saw a couple things yesterday that were flags that I've never seen in 25 years of coaching. And that's interesting. Certainly want to get a clarification on, and this isn't sour grapes and Shane's complaining, but I've been told that this year in the SEC that celebrations are going to be allowed. And because I watched games the first weekend and I see some guys doing some celebrations in the end zone, and that's great. Let these guys have fun. But, I was told that celebration is going to be allowed a little bit, but there's going to be a very clear emphasis on taunting. And, for that crew yesterday to throw 22 flags, and on the last play of the game, I think there's 2 very clear instances of taunting that happened after the kick. And after throwing 22 flags, no one decided to throw a flag on that one. But, it's things that I just want to get some clarification on. And again, we've got plenty that we were wrong about as well. So we'll get some questions or get some answers back and go from there. And one more thing too. I should have said this too. I know John Whittle, I think you're on here, John. I know you asked me that question yesterday about the end of the game sequence and all that as well. And just wanted to go back on that one and clarify. So I think I was not speaking out of turn, but I think I had the downs. I was just going through like downs in my head. Essentially, I think it was 18 seconds left. We had one timeout. We were in field goal range for where we wanted to be. My thinking on that one is not playing conservative or not to lose. I mean, we were aggressive on that drive. I did not want to. I mean, we had given up 5 sacks, and what we could not do there is go backwards. And the play that we had called was an RPO. It's literally the exact same. It was the first play of the game, the exact same play where we got an RPO, and then the quarterback has the option to either hand it off or throw the ball to the tight end in the flat. And that was what the play was. It gave us a couple different options, and wish we could have been a little bit more effective on that play, but we were in field goal range, and that's what it was. And you could certainly throw the ball there. You had a timeout. After the run didn't go anywhere, I could have called timeout, but now you're risking without a timeout left. Now you're risking, can you get a play off and either get out of bounds or get down and clock it before the clock runs out? And those are all scenarios that we practice where we have to catch the ball for a first down and immediately get down or get out of bounds. I mean, we work those scenarios all the time. I just felt like at that point, you know what, we're in field goal range. We're where we wanted to be. And let's somewhat be aggressive with the play call here on the RPO. But if not, we feel great about Alex hitting that kick. And he hit a great kick. He just, he pulled it a little bit.
Shane, this is Jordan. You mentioned the missed tackles earlier. Do you count missed tackles? And if so, how did yesterday compare to a normal game?
We do. We had a little bit more than a normal game.
Shane, on that first touchdown that LSU scored, was there a misalignment on that play, or was that how you guys were looking to get lined up? Because it seemed like there was a pretty significant hole on that side that he broke through.
Help me remember the first touch. Can y'all please mic your computers, please?
Yes.
I can hear the question. I hear my voice because somebody has the microphone on. Which Pink asked you guys to mute these things, I think 3 times. Thank you. I'm trying to remember the first touchdown that they had. Hang on. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you need to.
Yeah, sorry, my computer's kind of loud. So if that's me, I apologize. It was 3rd and 9, and they had the, I think it was like a 26-yard run. It was on, I guess, the 4th drive. Y'all had gotten into the 3-5 stuff earlier, and I think it was 4 down on the play, and they ran. I don't know, off their left side, maybe between the B gap or something like that. But
yeah. Hang on. I'm trying to. I'll tell you right now. All these plays are running together. Hang on one second, Hill. I'm looking at it.
All good. I know there were a lot of things to sort through yesterday.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It was yes. No, we were yes, it was a big hole. I wouldn't say we were necessarily misaligned. We were in a little bit of an overload front right there as well. And they had a good call for what we were in, a little bit of, the hot overload the front, disguise the coverage a little bit. We've got to really, it's as simple as just playing the run a little bit better on that one and not so much be thinking pass. It's 3rd and 9 on the 26-yard line. I don't know what their thinking was. They may have been getting ready to go for it on 4th down, but we've got to be able to just play the run a little bit better in that situation than what we did. And if it does pop through there, now we got to get him on the ground, because at that point it kind of goes back to Jordan's question a minute ago. We've got to tackle better and get him on the ground, and we lost leverage and had some missed tackles on that one as well.
Shane, it's Jack. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the offense in the second half after Lenoris went out. I think Robbie mentioned yesterday in the post game that they were trying to run the ball a lot more in the second half. Is that something that was the plan with Robbie at quarterback, to run the ball more?
Not necessarily. We wanted to run our offense, and we were running the ball quite a bit with Lenoris and as well, and whatnot. So we got confidence in Robbie as a quarterback, and we felt good about our ability to run the ball because I thought we were leaning on those guys, and we had some explosive runs with Rocket. And anytime you have we had a 75-yard run by Lenoris, and then Rocket had some nice explosive runs in the first half. I mean, our plan always is to run the ball. It wasn't necessarily let's run the ball more in the second half. We just needed to continue to move the ball and make plays, run and pass. And you lose your starting quarterback. That certainly is not ideal. But it wasn't like we just went in at halftime and said, hey, let's run the ball and be conservative and hope our defense can hang on. That wasn't the thought process at all.
Hey, Shane, it's
Hey Shane, it's Phil Kornblut. Can you update us on how Lenoris is feeling today? And secondly, what did you think of your pass rush, your pressure on the quarterback yesterday?
I think Lenoris is feeling okay today. We have to submit an SEC injury report on Wednesdays, so we'll have a better update for you guys injury-wise on Wednesday night when that comes out. And I thought the pass, oh, it's not a non-conference, it's not a conference game. That's right, so we don't have to. Lenoris, I think, is feeling okay. So yesterday was a physical game. We'll see how these guys are as the week goes on. And then as far as the pass rush, I thought they were okay. I mean, that's an offensive line, Phil, that has some really, really good players and had not given up a sack all year. And we had, I think, 2 sacks yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, or whatever it was. We had a couple sacks. We hit him. We put pressure on him. So I thought the pass rush was good. Absolutely love for it to be a little bit better, but that's a really good offensive line that you're going up against.
Hey, Shane's Ben Briner. Wanted to ask, what did you learn about Robbie watching him kind of go through that? I guess it was a 1 minute and 22-second drill, and kind of getting you into that position, making those scrambles to potentially put you in place to hit that field goal.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job. He was a guy that had a lot of confidence, and as he should. He's a good quarterback and has confidence in his ability to go perform. So I thought he was poised and competitive. Had a good tough run to get that first down with extra yardage, and he'll continue to get better from having gone through that experience.
Hey, Shane, it's Dave again. Again, we don't get the availability reports this week, and you mentioned something about Jared Brown. Is he going to be okay this week?
Yeah, we'll have an update for you on Tuesday, David. We just played yesterday, and we're about to go out on the practice field and watch these guys run around. So we'll have an update for you on Tuesday.
Hey, Shane, it's John. I was wondering if you sensed the big game from Rocket coming or not. Did you feel like he was close going into this one? What set him up to be so good yesterday?
I think he, yeah, I did. I think he had a good week of practice, but I think he always has. And the thing that we talked to Rocket about was there's going to be times where you can bounce that thing outside and outrun people, which he did yesterday. So that was really good to see his speed. But the thing that we really emphasized with him this week, John, was just understanding you're a big back, man, and you're hard to tackle. And you can run through arm tackles. So let's do a great job of, being physical and getting downhill too, and making these guys tackle you when you're running north-south as well, which he did on that touchdown run down there I think it was after the block punt. He showed that as well, and excited for him to continue to come along. And then we've got to continue to develop this running back room around him. I mean, we don't want him having to play as many plays as he did yesterday and wear him down. So between Oscar and Juju and Jawarn Howe and Matthew Fuller, Bradley Dunn, DJ Braswell, whoever, we got to have some other guys continue to come along as well to help that room out.
Hey, Shane, it's Jordan again. Yesterday, I think you guys were 3 of 12 on third down. Is that just a product of, putting yourself in a lot of third and longs, or is there something you've been able to evaluate about maybe why you haven't converted us enough on third downs?
It's something we talked about. Yeah. It's something that I talked about with the offensive staff today. We weren't good enough. We weren't good enough last week against Kentucky. I think we were 3 of 10 last week, and I think 3 of 12 yesterday. That's nowhere near good enough. It starts with just keeping yourself out of longer yardage situations. That's tough on anybody on third down. But certainly when we get in those third down situations, we've got to be able to execute. And whether it be protection, throwing on time and accurately, running routes, making competitive catches, whatever it may be, we got to be better than what we were yesterday for sure.
Hey Shane, it's Alan. You've had, I think, 5 illegal man downfield calls and at least one in each game now. Is there anything you can kind of put your finger on or can fix with that, or is it just kind of part of the territory when you're running a lot of RPOs?
We don't run a ton of RPOs, and some of those yesterday, Alan, were things that we want to get some clarification on from the league office.
Hey Shane, it's Lulu. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I imagine, I mean, you alluded to oh my gosh, excuse me. You alluded to a lot of the emotions that you had last night. I saw some from your family, and you said you didn't get a lot of sleep. I'm just curious, the last 24 hours, where do you kind of decide where to start? Where do you look at, the good, the bad of that game, and how do you process a lot of it, because it's such a rapid turnaround and you have practice, like you said, right the next day on Sunday?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I didn't want to. I had family at the house last night. My parents were in town when I got home after all the obligations I have at the stadium media-wise. And immediately I had recorded the game and went and sat outside by the television and watched mainly the fourth quarter just to see some of the things from that. And then didn't sleep much and was back in the office early this morning. And honestly, it's like every game, win or lose. Obviously, the emotions are different today, but you go in there and I sit in my office all morning and watch the tape by myself and make notes, offense, defense, and special teams, good and bad. Meet with the offensive staff at 11 a.m. I meet with the defensive staff at 11:45. We meet as a full staff at 12:30. And then we have a team meeting at 1:45 and talk about the game, and then hit the practice field right around this time. So it's one of those, there's good in every win. There's some bad that you can learn from in every win. And then in losses, there's good that you want to build upon, and then obviously things to correct. And obviously the emotions of this one are really, really tough because there's so many things from that game yesterday. But after all of that, it's still just, we need to, just execute and do our job. And I think there were some times yesterday where maybe guys were they wanted it so bad that maybe they were just trying to do too much. And we don't need to do that. We're too good a team. We don't need to do too much. Our good is plenty good enough. And, really proud of our players from that standpoint, the way they played, the effort they played with, and we'll just continue to get better. But I won't lie to you, man, it's the emotions when you come in on a Sunday morning and start watching the tape and you see things for the first time that you maybe didn't notice on the field. It's a lot, but that's part of it. We only get 12 of these opportunities and we only get 12 Saturdays. So every week is a season, and you got to be at your best every single Saturday. And we'll need to be this Saturday against Akron. And that's why we are headed to the practice field as we speak. So appreciate y'all jumping on, and I'll see you Tuesday. Thanks a lot.